time to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hey everyone, hello and welcome to Take the Lead, where young voices shape the region and the world. I am Augustine Cully, and today we are celebrating World Radio Day. This year's theme is Radio and AI. And in this edition, we are focusing on the role of artificial intelligence in journalism. What if you could send your voice across the globe, reaching someone you've never met, but who needs to hear your story today? Well, join us live on West Africa, Democracy Radio 94.9 FM in Dakar. We are streaming worldwide on WADR.org, and you can also watch us on YouTube and Facebook at WADR English Service. Let's have a conversation. Our guests today include a journalist, a media expert, a communication professional, and a young student. Among them is Matisi. She works across audio, digital, and written formats, with radio at the center of her heart and practice. How are you doing, Matty? And welcome back to West Africa Democracy Radio.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Express the happiness so that I will know.
I'm so happy to be here. It's been a while. I mean, like, my journey in radio started here, so it's a very welcome back and a happy one at that, especially on this occasion.
Yes, this time you are here as a guest.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, it does.
That's great. Well, we will hear more from Mati, but we also have Raymond Pierre Batoub, and he is a student at Sheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar, Senegal. How are you doing, Raymond, and welcome?
I'm super good. I thank God. How about yourself?
Well, I'm okay. How's the studies?
So far, so good. We are hanging in there. We're trying to do the needful. That's it.
Great. Today we're talking about radio, and I know you've listened to radio. You will tell us about how you feel listening to radio, what impact it has on your life as a student. But then crossing over across Senegal, we have Reng Tewang, and Tewang is a media expert. He works at KTFM in Nigeria. How are you doing, Tewang? And welcome.
I'm doing fine.
Well, Tewang, I hope that the network forgives you and that we have you so clearly today. You can just say that again. Perhaps you shift a bit.
All right.
Well, Tewang, I think you can shift a bit. Then we will get back to you. Just perhaps change your location. We will get right back to you. But we have Amos Bobby Weir also online. He's an examinations officer at WAEC Liberia. Amos has transitioned from mainstream journalism now to the academic sector. How are you doing, Amos? Welcome.
Well, thank you, Augustine. I am doing so good, and I'm so happy to be invited to participate in this wealthy discussion. It is a pleasure.
Someone who was we would say a journalist is always a journalist, but one who was into mainstream journalism. Now, tell us a bit about the feeling that comes about you discussing radio when you are no longer into mainstream journalism.
I used to be the one inviting people to have a discussion on the radio. And now I see that I am the one being invited this time around. It brings an extra feeling. It cuts me back and make me to understand that, yes, indeed, I'm not mainstreaming. Better still, I'm not forgetting, because, well, the passion lives on. And this is Africa, if I have to say that this is Africa. But the passion is there, and I'm so glad that, of course, people like you still recognize that the fact that we are there and we contributed, and even though we're not mainstreaming, we're still freelancing and giving our little contributions in the media to emerging journalists.
Great indeed. Before we begin, can we hear from you, Tenwang? Are you there?
All right, good evening. Are you with me?
Well,
Can you get me clearly?
we are not getting you clearly. You are coming in broken. There's breaking between. So
All right. How about,
I don't
how
know
about now?
if you're using the video. Maybe you just switch to audio. Let's see what will happen in that case. Then we will get right back to you. But before starting the discussion, let's listen to the history and significance of World Radio Day in this report by WADR Imo Edit.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM.
Proclaimed in 2011 by UNESCO member states and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, World Radio Day is celebrated every year on February 13. It honors a medium that continues to speak to millions, often with nothing more than a signal and a simple receiver. Long before smartphones and streaming apps, radio became a companion in homes, fields, and far-flung corners of the world. Even today, its strength lies in its simplicity. No internet, no expensive gadgets, no digital learning curve, just sound traveling across distances, bringing information, music, and voices together beyond economic, geographic, and social divides. This year's theme, Artificial Intelligence, AI, opens a new chapter, not just for innovation, but for deepening their bond with listeners. According to UNESCO, when journalists use AI ethically and responsibly to support professional judgment, creativity, and public service values, it becomes an ally in strengthening audience trust. AI is a tool, not a voice, and technology alone does not build trust. Radio broadcasters do.
The AI learns through a method known as machine learning, and it learns from the data that is imputed by humans. So there is still a lot of gap when it comes to the data that is fed into the system.
Media experts say to make the most of AI, radio broadcasters need more than tools. They need a strategy. That means clear, caring policies and internal guide rails for ethical AI use. Have respect for privacy, intellectual property, data ownership, and transparency. Broadcasters should also make careful use of generative audio like AI music, voice cloning, deepfake audio, etc. Remember to invest in people, improve their skills, growth, and collaborations. And don't forget legal and security checks to manage emerging risk, data storage and transfer, liabilities, and others.
And of course, a special thanks to Imo Edit for that report.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Bintou Asuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Indeed, we are right now live on West Africa Democracy Radio. Let's get into the discussion, beginning with Mati. Well, tell us your feelings about radio.
Well, it's a very loaded question. I mean, it's a long, long love story, I have to admit. Mm-hmm. And that starts well before I started working professionally in radio. I think we all have the memories of watching our parents with the small little radio on their bedside at night, to then transforming to it being on our phones, being as we, commute to place. But the radio has always been something that's kept me company. I feel it. It's a friend to me, I'm not so much of a music listener. So when I have my headphones on, I'm always listening to someone else. I'm always, being carried to a different part of the world, listening to another story. And like I said, it's very comforting, and also really enriching. It's something that I'm quite passionate about. So radio has a very special place in my heart.
At what stage of your life you really got glued to radio?
I would say when I moved back to Senegal, like maybe now 5 years ago, that was when I really decided that I was going to stop listening to music very intentionally. So what was going to fill all this noise. And I was in a new country, didn't have a lot of contacts, didn't have a lot of friends. And it was the radio, whether it was, live talk shows like this, or it was podcasts, or it was, lectures that were being broadcasted through the radio. I think that's when it really started to nurture, I think, my relationship with radio, because it was just a 24-hour companion at that point. And then, of course, leading into my professional career in radio that started here, I think it really just solidified everything for me.
Great. I mean, interesting. For you, Raymond,
Yeah.
I know from a student point of view, perhaps you listen, if not regularly, but sometimes. But tell us, how do you look at radio? Is it important to you, and how important is it to you?
All right, thank you for asking. Radio is something very important, according to myself, because it's helped a lot. Because through the radio story, we can have a lot of informations, you see, and that can help a lot. I used to listen to it from time to another, because it's helped a lot about the fact that listening, I can understand something that it is going on into another country or into another area, you see. So listening to it also by doing all those things, that can help in another part, because I am going to be able to entertain myself a little bit, while learning sometimes, you see. That help a lot, because through the radio I learned a lot.
What are some of those things you've learned?
Because sometimes I used to listen to the radio, and people used to talk, for example, about the domestic violence.
Okay.
All right, and then I used to learn a lot about that, because I'm the type of person that I love peace and joy. So I prefer harmony than the war. That's the case.
Okay, that's
all right.
That's great. Now to you, Amos Bobby Weir, let's look at the theme for this year's World Radio Day. They're looking at radio and artificial intelligence, AI. Would you mind telling us your own understanding about the relationship between these two, especially in the digital age, radio and that of AI?
The radio, like some of my colleagues there in your studio have just said, is a very informative tool. We depend on the radio a whole lot for a lot of information. And in fact, for where we come from, when we hear the radio, or we hear something that we can depend on, is authentic. In my country, we refer to the radio as the truth. So if we don't hear it from the radio, then it is not true. So even if you got a news from someone and they will ask you, which radio station did you listen to? And then somebody have to reference a radio, then it can be construed that that information is accurate. So it is a very important part of our democracy. And you follow up the history of the radio dating back to the 19th century. There were a lot of reasons why we have the introduction of the radio using electromagnetic wave to make sure that you have voice going across a very large audience of people. And we have been moving on with that state, believing in our radios, especially for some of those who do not read the newspapers. We depend on radio a whole lot, especially when you have to talk about rural places. Now, with the introduction of the artificial intelligence as of the 2000s, I think that there is an important link. We are not going to ignore that there are some disadvantages, which we will talk about sometimes in the program.
Sure.
But there's a very important link between the radio and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a kind of machine learning tools that help to enhance the work of the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You use it, provided ethically, to enhance your work, because you want to be balanced, you want to be credible, you strive for accuracy in the media. So having some tools that's going to help you to enhance this, to achieve this goal, is important.
Okay.
And that's
All right. My colleague Bobby just said, radio has been a source of information which is very reliable and dependable for so many people. And unlike other news media platforms like the television, which will require your entire concentration, and the newspapers where you have to give in your time to read, the radio is a form of communication where even while handling other responsibilities, you can have it on and you get the now with the
Well, you're going again.
it
You are going again. You are going again. I'm so sorry for that, one. Perhaps you can readjust, and we'll get back to you. Let me come to Matty in studio right here. You work on sounds. You also do some script writing as well as a multimedia journalist, I will call you. How do you use AI to blend them with the kind of normal journalism, producing out credible information?
Right. I mean, I think of AI as a tool, just like anything else. So I wouldn't say that I use AI as a way to enhance the journalism itself. I use it to offload tasks that I rather wouldn't do so that I could further concentrate on, giving it my all to be credible, to, dot my I's and my T's. Cross my T's and dot my I's. But for example, when it comes to communicating, when it comes to sending out those messages, the briefs, ChatGPT is going to write my message for me, make sure I have all the information so that I can mass send it out. When it comes to also figuring out what are people interested about, so trending topics and things like that, there are a lot of AI tools that help me with that. Transcriptions, for example, there are AI tools that I can put in my sound. It's going to give me the transcription that saves so much time, which allows me to invest it in something else into the journalism. But I think it's important that there is a distinction between the fact that AI tools can help us journalists, but I don't think you can really replace what we do in journalism. I don't see it as a threat, or I don't even see it as the intersection between AI and radio, I think, is very slim and should remain that way.
It should remain that way.
Absolutely.
But the world is evolving. Don't you think there will be need for adaptation?
I totally agree. And if you look at the media landscape now, we already have, for example, a film podcast. So it's a radio show, but it's also filmed. You can have it on other platforms. There is room, and I encourage evolution, but I think we also need to stick to what is radio at its core, what are its values, and not deform that or denature that, because at that point it's not evolution. You're just killing the media and replacing it with something else. And I think like my co-guest said, authenticity, truth, and I had a TV teacher while I was in my studies. She used to tell us that when someone turns on the TV and you see someone on the news, they've invited themselves into your home. So they have a duty, they have an honor to be truthful, to be correct, to smile. And I think it's even more intimate when it comes to the radio. You're inviting yourself into people's ears, into people's environment. You're taking up space. And I think that we have a responsibility to keep that human and to keep that as authentic as possible.
Okay, great. For you, Raymond.
Yes.
When you hear about artificial intelligence, what comes to your mind? And now that people are using it, journalists are using it to also enhance their work, what do you think about radio also being used through artificial intelligence to provide valuable and credible information to the public?
All right, thank you for asking. First of all, I am going to underline the very important point, which is artificial intelligence in journalism, right? Because using the artificial, intelligence in journalism is something which can help a lot. Because some of them who are, press writer, they need it in order to well organize, what they are doing. For example, if they have record an interview or something like that outside they can bring it inside the office and try to use the AI in order to make it quickly. Like she said earlier, that's the point. In order to earn time and to use it wisely than largely. That's it. So secondly, I am going to say also that artificial intelligence also can help in another point, which is the fact that trying to correct them, like the journalists, it is going to be able to correct them. For example, if there are some, mistakes on what they are doing, whether it is the written one, it's going to help a lot. So about the radio help a lot, honestly, and I can say that it is the most truthful thing that we can put our hand on. Okay. Because every single information coming through from the radio, people used to believe in that one better than the AI one, because sometimes as we all know, with algorithm, sometimes they use them in the negative way. I don't know whether you feel the point, but we're going to get deep down into that one once it's time to talk about the consequences of the AI.
All right. Now, there's a serious concern about fast-checking mis- and disinformation. From the traditional standpoint, journalists are to investigate information to ensure that they are processed well and they are credible, they have some positive impact on the society. For this, I'm asking you, Amos Bobby Weir, can AI improve that investigative style of journalism when it comes to reducing misinformation and ensuring effective fast-checking of information before being published out there?
Okay, I would like to start with, I would say there are some AI tools that are used by journalists to help do fact checking. Of course, they are useful in that area. But on the overall, I think that while it is true, it is very important that we get AI part of our work. Why is it important that we now begin to transition from all the traditional modes of doing our work to the AI? Because of course, if we are left behind in this digital age, it is going to cause us a lot of problem, because for you to be able to authenticate something, you must be a part or knowledgeable of that thing. So that's why it's important at this age for journalists or radio stations to begin to include AI operations as a part of their work. Now, to your question, we cannot wholly rely on AI for fact checking. Why? Because like my colleague said from the beginning of the show, you see, AI depends on data that are available. And those data that are available is not free of biasness. Those data that are available is also not free of errors. So if the traditional media or radio, as we're in context, should maintain its accuracy, balancedness, and credibility as its core functions, then it must be able to go to another extent, and that extent would be to verify every information or every use of AI. You use AI, but you don't wholly rely on AI for human judgment, because journalism involves human judgment and critical thinking. Why AI can help us at some point in time so as to save time, but it should not be wholly relied on. Else, we will have a lot of mistakes and we will lose the actual values that comes along with radio. So that is the message we are carrying now. Do not resist AI. Do not. You have to see it not just as a tool, but as something that is important that you can use to enhance the work you do. Okay. Because radio is time. And why true radio is time, we want to save time on everything we do. Again, we want to be accurate. We want to go to an extent of doing some background research that may take a lot of time. But with the help of AI, we have reduction in the time we use.
Okay, with the advent of AI, we have reduction in the time we use to process information and provide them to the public. But what do you think of that, Matty, in terms of the fast check of information through journalism using AI tools?
I think, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's the journalist's role to use discernment, no matter what tools you're using, whether it's AI or something else. There are tools like image research tools, reverse tools, sorry, like Google Images, where you put your images in and it'll tell you, is it AI generated or is it, what is the context behind this image? So I think it's very valuable, but I think we also can't forget that a lot of the misinformation and disinformation that we receive today comes from AI also. Okay. So use the tools, of course, but don't forget that you need your own discernment because they are also the manufacturers of the very thing that you're trying to combat.
Now, it brings me into a very important question. How can the radio really distinguish these AI-generated content, sift of them to ensure that they are original content before publishing them to the wider audience?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I think when it comes to information, so for example, written text that you later want to, transfer into radio, it's a little bit easier because you can, cross your sources, you can cross-reference your sources, you can ask people, you can call people. When it comes to images also, it's getting a little bit more difficult because the tools are so sophisticated now. It's hard to really tell. So without really investing your time and figuring out whether, this image is authentic or not, it's a little difficult. And voice, not only is it difficult because people are less interested in that authenticity. If it sounds good, they'll take it. They're not really interested whether it's a human behind it or not. So the tools that are available for that also are much more limited at the moment, but hopefully there'll be more of them. But it's really just listening, and if you have the habit of listening, when something seems a little bit artificial, you'll be more attuned to it than somebody who is just maybe constantly consuming artificial products.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, well, interesting experiences so far from our guests on this edition of Take the Lead in the year 2026. Let's now focus on the risks and ethical concerns of radio and AI. But firstly, let's hear from Tenwong. If he's well positioned at this time, we are looking at the risk factors involved in using AI in journalism. What do you think are some of the risks of AI-generated fake news or so forth?
All right. I think some of the concerns have been laid about the issue of verifying information. Because the data is something that is limited. It's not everything that you ask AI that you also get from AI. So I think it's very important that we establish that even as people use AI, the risk is that you might likely get what is inaccurate. So it takes someone who is knowledgeable about what you want to do for you to also get the right thing or correct the information that you're getting from AI. Another risk that we're having at the moment using AI is the issue of misinformation, disinformation, as others have raised, and also the issues of adding up to the tensions that we are witnessing in communities, because it's difficult, this issue of deep fake. People find it difficult to identify in rural communities, take for instance, where they see radio as a medium of reliable information. They find it difficult to understand whether a voice was cloned or it is really the person who is talking. So it has increased the risk of exposing the people to getting misinformed, disinformed as well. So, and also there is that risk of the issue of the ethical values of the profession. So many people use AI without going through the work, getting the data that they've gotten, and they just use it that way without even verifying. And at the end of the day, the listener is at the receiving end because you'll be feeding the listener with the wrong form of information.
Great.
So the disadvantages are there, the risks are there for both the journalist and also the consumer, the audience, or the listener of that message.
All right. Now, let's hear from you, Raymond. Do you believe that the threat or the risks that AI poses to credible information or reliable information is more affecting the flow of information to the population, or it is lesser?
All right. Thank you so much once again for asking. In my thought, AI used to bring, negativity more than, positivity in this work. Why? Because at the very beginning, I should say every single person should know that he is not, there is not necessary for him, for example, to be living like a parasite in this point. They should try to use first their mind, journalists, for example, to try to make sure, to use the AI wisely, not depending specifically on it. Because if they do that, they are going to get things wrongly one day or another. And I have to say something. If they used to do it like that, they are going to bring fake informations. And if they bring out fake informations, those things can spoil everything about their career, about the image, and other stuffs. So at the end, indeed, it does not make sense. So that's why they should change the way to use it, not being specifically based on it only. No.
But who is responsible if AI publishes incorrect or biased information? To you, Amos, because AI depends on what it feeds on, what's been, let's say, inputted into its server or whatsoever, maybe by a journalist or any other person so very inquisitive about finding out something. So who's responsible if the AI publishes fake or biased information?
The first thing we have to get clear is that AI doesn't publish by itself. There must be someone who has used an AI tool to generate something that he or she publishes. So, let alone AI wouldn't just publish anything on your radio. WADR AI doesn't work there. AI doesn't go on the radio and say something. AI wouldn't just make any voice. It is someone who dares to use the AI tool, will produce something and sell it to the audience. So if you ask me that question, that who's responsible, the person who uses it ethically is the person who's responsible. If you're a journalist and you are using the AI tool of policies, I know some institutions, some media institutions have policies on how to use AI tools. So if your institution doesn't have it and you use it unethically and you give information out to your audience, you are to be blamed. You are responsible for it, because that's why we reference the source of our information. When I get an information from the West African Democracy Radio and I am remitting that information to someone else, I'm going to quote that I got this information from WADR. So if you give me a fake data because you got it from an AI tool and that you didn't do fact checking, so you have just undermined your credibility at WADR. So it involves ethical use and based on policies of different institutions. And I would think that we need a unified policy across our media institutions on how we use AI tools.
Now, I'm asking you a very important question based upon what you've said. So can AI be a reference tool? Please watch your background, Amos. Can AI be a reference tool or a source of information? As a journalist, can you tell the public that you use AI to verify this information?
Okay, Augustine, quickly, it is not my background. I think it's from the other fellow. You have to use his microphone.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say this and let us be clear. If you use an AI tool to generate an information, it is responsible enough that we say that we use an AI tool to generate this information. Of course, in media, you need to have a source and you need to say your source. If you have a story that cannot be traced to a source, then that's not a story. Then you try to mislead the people. You are the one trying to misinform the people, the public, your audience. So you're trying to sell a product. You're like a marketer who sells product. If you sell a bad product to your customer, of course you have undermined your credibility because he's not going to come back to buy from you again. So if you use an AI tool and you got information that you didn't check, you didn't verify that information, and you sold that information out to your audience get to know that it is incorrect. Of course, you've undermined your entire institution. That's what we have to be cognizant of as journalists.
Okay.
You just want to use a tool, but of course, if you use that tool, I'm going to say this probably may sound new, but if you use an AI tool, it's ethical enough to say
Well, I think the network is kind of tripping in right now. But let's hear from Matty. Matty believes that there's this line between normal radio work and that of the use of AI. But given the fact that AI also helps to enhance the work of journalists, ensuring maybe fast pace of work delivery, effectiveness in terms of ensuring accurate work, credible information being processed. Do you believe this trend, if it continues, the radio will slowly lose its maybe trust in the population?
I hope I don't sound too radical, but I think the moment that the CEO of all of these AI companies, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Gemini, I think they're the ones who, they didn't wage the war, they didn't start the war, but they really definitely contributed to this war against truth and our relationship with truth as a society, as communities. And I think indeed, if we continue to use AI in a lazy way, then yes, we are also enabling and encouraging people to, care less about what's real, care less about what took some hard work, what was original to one person. Because when we talk about AI, it's very broad. Like I said earlier, you can use it to save time when it's about transcriptions. You can also use it to write your scripts. And that then strips your identity away from what it is that you're presenting to your audiences. You cannot say that those are 100% your words. They're generated because somebody once upon a time fed this into the internet, and then you asked a certain command and it fed it back to you. So I think in those instances also it does impact our relationship to the truth and can degrade the quality and the charm of radio. But it's all about the journalist itself and what it decides to what the journalist decides is important and to fight for, no matter the evolution of the technology that we have.
So how does it affect the public trust, especially when the public gets to know that we are using AI tools to enhance our work, as compared to our normal style where we have to go on the ground, maybe take some pictures, interview people, investigate, hear from physical sources to, balance our information. What do you think that kind of trust the public will have now with the radio?
I think it depends. I think for people who are well informed and still trust the media, for example, if you have an article and at the end you say that, it was translated with AI or you used AI to help you. If somebody can read it and see that there's a mistake, well, that's a problem, If they see that this use of AI, you've been honest about it, you've been transparent, and it indeed has enhanced your work, then I think that's only a catalyst for the relationship to continue, that the trust will actually grow stronger. But if you misuse the tools, of course, I think then it's very detrimental to the relationship that you have with your audience. But I don't think inherently just saying, we used AI poses a threat or not. That depends on the individual, and their conception of what AI is.
That's right. Now, so far, let's check our live feed. Sonim B. Yates says, I'm following from Duan District, Bomay County. Journalists using AI tools face risks like accuracy AI can spread misinformation or biased data. For credibility, over reliance on AI might undermine fast checking. You also talk about job displacement. Automation could impact certain tasks. That's coming from Sony Yates. Okay, we'll keep following you as you comment. Sang Nasri Mendy says, very interesting conversation. Thank you for joining, Sang. You can also share your thoughts. What do you make of AI and journalism as we discuss this very important topic here today? There is this interesting question that I would love to ask our dear student right here with us, who also very interested in listening to radio. Do you believe the journalists will really lose their job in years to come, being that AI, is being used to also enhance their work? Do you think there will be that overflow and journalists will lose their job in the future?
All right. Well, according to myself, AI is doing the great job now. Secondly, the fact that it is on this way, things can change in coming years later, because the job that a lot of journalists can do it. One part of it is now done by the AI. You see the point? So by continuing in this way, they can lose the job step by step. But it's not going to be able to be lost totally. No, it's not possible. But they are going to reduce, the numbers of, journalists. That's what I wanted to say.
Wow, it will reduce the workforce.
Yeah, that's the case.
Do you believe that, Mati?
I cannot sit here and pretend that I'm not biased in this conversation. I think I have way too much love for journalism and for radio to even conceive of a day where it's not going to exist anymore. And genuinely, I think for as long as there are passionate workers behind it, it's never going to go obsolete. You're not as a medium, but also as a workforce. It's a tool. A tool cannot replace a human being. There's a Senegalese radio host who passed away this week, and in the when they were discussing him and talking about his work and his contribution to the radio, they were saying that it would take 3 people to replace what alone this man did just for the station. And if you think that it takes maybe sometimes 3 people to replace one person, I can promise you one tool is not going to even replace the half of what a person can do.
All right. Let's hear from you, Tenwa. What do you think about this emergence of AI? Will it reduce the workforce when it comes to the journalism profession?
I would say yes and no. But before I elaborate on that, let me add to the conversation about 2 other questions that you've asked earlier. You've asked about the issue of is it proper for a journalist to attribute as a source the use of AI? I would say yes, because AI has evolved. It's not just today that AI has come. Even the Google search engine that we talk about is AI on its own. And so it's not wrong for any journalist to say that this is the source of my information, because not disclosing that in the first place is even plagiarism. So let's get it straight. And also for the issue of whether there will be trust for any journalist who uses AI, the answer is simple yes. If you disclose that, yes, you attribute the source that this is where I got this information, why not? Because it's a tool that everyone uses. It's not just in journalism. There are other aspects of AI that we also use also in the society. Okay. And also for the issue of losing jobs or not. Now, for those who have not embraced AI, for those who are not willing to see how they build their own capacity in terms of the usage of AI, yes, AI has come to displace them as journalists or as even members of the society. But for those who have embraced AI and are working on themselves, now trying to see how they will embrace AI. I always tell my colleagues in the newsroom, I say, AI is a colleague that we need to embrace and have a working relationship with, and not to see AI as a threat to our own jobs. But the very day you see AI as a threat is the beginning of you losing the job.
All right. Now, I think Matthew wanted to come in when you were speaking. What is it, Matthew?
I just wanted to interject and say that I think at the end of the day, like I said, if somebody writes an article and uses AI, for example, to translate it to one language to another, it's valid to say that you used an AI tool, but I think it's very dangerous to say that AI was your source. Because in the same way, for example, you can go on Google, search something, you don't end up saying Google was your search. Google got that information from somewhere else. You will say UNESCO or this person or this website. And I think the same needs to be done when we're still using AI. We can't take it for what it is, but...
Right, great. As we wrap up, there is this one question going across. What ethical guidelines should govern AI use in journalism? And we begin with you, Amos Bobby Weir. Amos, I hope you're getting us. Okay, I think let's now cross over to Taiwan because we are wrapping up. What are the ethical guidelines we should follow as journalists as we use AI as a tool?
I think the ethical guidelines are simple journalism guidelines where you need to have your own source and you need to credit your information to that source. And other guidelines that will put you through in the rudiments of journalism, let's not throw them away. When you use the AI tools, bearing in mind the ethics of the profession, that's the best way to use AI, not throwing away the profession and taking yourself as the tool on its own.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tenwang, for joining us again today. We will keep you posted so that we can have you another time on the show. Thanks so kindly. All right. Can we hear from you, Amos, as you depart the program? Okay, it seems we've certainly or totally lost control of Amos. Now to you, Raymond. What can you say as you take leave of us about journalists using AI to ensure that the work is credible, it remains credible for public consumption?
In my thought, they should do this. Like journalists, they should make sure to use AI wisely, not lightly, like I said earlier. Okay, trying to verify the information every single time they are doing something like a job. They should take their time, verifying everything step by step in order to do a very wonderful job, so that they are going to get respect from listeners. They are going to make sure also, to have credibility from those people, and those things that they are going to do, they are going to be helpful one day because they can get promoted and be hired by the CEO or something else.
Okay.
You see the point?
Thank you so much for coming, Raymond. We'll keep in touch with you.
Sure thing.
All right. Let's hear from you, Amos. How can we ethically use AI?
We have to consider a few things, Augustine. One of them is transparency. That is, if we use an AI tool to enhance our work, we should be honest enough to say this tool was used, even though the person spoke in Ola vernacular, in a crew vernacular, but we used it to transcribe it or translate it into another language. We should be able to say that. We should be accurate. Whatever we get from AI, we should verify that content. We should not over-rely on it. We should be balanced. We should make sure that whatever we get from an AI tool is fair. It is not biased. It's not mutilating some other things that's supposed to be there. We should then or authenticate. That's where authenticity comes about, or credibility in other words.
Okay.
We should not allow AI to replace professional journalism.
Okay.
It should only enhance our work, and there should be policies, unified policies, maybe global or sub-regional policies that's going to guide us on how we use AI to enhance our work as journalists.
Thank you, Amos. We will keep in touch with you as we go along. Thanks so kindly. And of course, finally to you, Matty.
Yeah, I really agree with everything that's been said. I think if we stay loyal to the ethics and everything that we learned in during our training about what is good journalism, something that you check, something that has integrity, something that's useful, and also it then becomes quite specific. For example, if you're a media that values your ecological footprint, values minimizing it, then you probably shouldn't be using AI tools very much the same way that you don't want to be printing things left and right without a purpose. But I think if you move forward with the right ethics, then the tools themselves becomes less of a concern, I would say.
Thanks so kindly for coming today, Mati.
Yeah, it was
hope
really
to
a
have you another
pleasure.
time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, San Nasri Mendy says, well, AI is only a supporting tool. It cannot replace human judgment, ethics, or the responsibility that comes with reporting. Well, listeners and viewers, this is where we close up on this edition of Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio. Please join us next Friday for another episode. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Belkali, but before leaving, listen to this report by WADR's Usma Omar about radio and AI.
Today is February 13, 2026. Across the globe, millions are tuning in to celebrate World Radio Day. But here in the heart of our community, the crackle of the airwaves is meeting a new frequency, the digital hum of artificial intelligence. For over a century, radio has been our companion. Today, we ask, can a machine help us tell our stories better? Or are we risking the very human touch that makes radio home?
So for me, in the broadcast era, institutions must choose between relevance and obsolescence. So for the Radio World Day, what I'm asking is, what kind of AI-powered newsroom and intelligence systems are you building?
That was Dr. Celestine Archie, an AI specialist. Inside our newsroom, the change is tangible. For Aisha, a familiar voice on radio in Nigeria, AI has transformed the grind of journalism into a streamlined craft.
So for me, AI has been really amazing and wonderful. It, reduces the workload for me. First, it helps me to transcribe interviews within minutes instead of the long hours I take transcribing my interviews. Also, AI helps me to restructure headlines. I write down my headlines and then I take it to AI. It helps me restructure it perfectly. It also helps to, draft scripts and even summarize my write-up. AI helps me to do that.
As we look towards the rest of 2026, the message of the World Radio Day is one of balance. We will use the AI to work faster, edit cleaner, and reach further, but we will never let the algorithm replace the mind.
The World Radio Day is here, and the significance of AI cannot be driven aside, because with AI, broadcasting is made easy.
Radio remains the most resilient, accessible, and trusted medium in Africa, whether powered by a battery or an algorithm. Its purpose remains the same: to serve, to inform, and to develop this community we call home. Happy World Radio Day.
We thank you for listening to this program in Nigeria on Darling FM 107.3 Owerri, Southeast. We thank our listeners in Liberia on Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Nufa County, Kwakete Radio 100.9 FM, Baga, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riversess, in Sierra Leone. We thank our listeners on African Young Voices, Freetown, Radio Bath 91.3 FM, Eastern Community Radio FM 101.9 Kenema. In Ghana, Radio Pod, Savannah Region, Reals FM 104.7 Wenchi. In the Gambia, on Numi FM 94.0 North Bank Region, Radio Veritas 102.9 FM The Gambia.